Hi everyone, it's Melissa, and today I am going to share with you what I read in the month of September. This is Editing Melissa, here to welcome you to the video because the first few seconds of the original video, the sound and visuals are not synced. So welcome, and here's my wrap up. So I have 2 fictions and 2 nonfictions to talk about. I did read some other books as part of a series. I read some YA dystopian. I will link somewhere that video, but these are all of the other things I read. So let's start with the fiction. So the first book that I want to talk about is The Robber Bride by Margaret Atwood. This was part of a buddy read with Scott and Nell from Gunpowder Fiction and Plot, and I really enjoyed the experience of buddy reading. It's so nice to have someone to chat with, to kind of dissect and tease apart a book. It's not something I get to do very often, so that was really nice. Going into this, I had only read 2 other Atwoods. I've read The Handmaid's Tale, which I love, and I read Alias Grace, which I did not, and I'd read a short story collection first too, which was a very mixed bag collection for me. So I was going in this kind of 1 for 2 for Atwood, and I thought by the time I read this, I would have solidified my opinion of her, but this book left me lukewarm, and so I'm kind of no better off. So The Robber Bride follows 3 women who have been friends since university, and this other woman who have wronged them in various ways, stolen money, had affairs with their partners, and she has had died a few years previously, and they all attended the funeral, and then 3 women are having lunch when they spot her, and then the story kind of goes from there, where it jumps back in time to give you the story of what this woman did to wrong them, and after we go through the 3 women's stories, the ending brings you back to present day and how their stories are going to resolve. And when I was getting towards the end, I really wanted to love this because I thoroughly enjoyed the reading experience of this book, but the ending, coupled with some of the themes or the main messages or points, I guess, to the book, just didn't do it for me. As I was reading it, I was enjoying the writing, and I just kept thinking, Atwood has a plan. It can't just be what we think it's going to be. Scott, Nell, and I kind of had maybe some inklings as to what was going to happen, and I know that I at least was just banking on the fact that no, there's going to be more to it than that. There's going to be more to the story than that. But then it was what we thought when it came to the end of the book. So the ending just didn't come together. So I ended up giving this 3 stars because it was an enjoyable read, and I think that the writing was just gorgeous. It's been about 15 years, I think, since I read an Atwood, and I think I kind of forgot how poetic and engaging her writing can be. So I really enjoyed the reading experience, like I said, but the story itself just wasn't enough to elevate this book. The other fiction book I read was Hurricane Child by Kacen Callender. This is a middle grade set in the Virgin Islands. We follow a 12-year-old girl who is dealing with, struggling with abandonment. Her mother had left her and her father a year or 2 before the book is set, and she is not only struggling with the loss of her mother in her life, but also with being treated differently at school by her students, by her peers, and also her teachers, because she's dark-skinned, and so she's battling a lot of colorism in her life as well. And in the book, she makes her first ever true friend. She's never had a friend before. So in the book, we kind of follow her navigating this new friendship because she doesn't really know what friendship is supposed to be. And she really loves this girl and wants the friendship to work. So we follow her navigating that. And we also follow her attempts or her plan to try to find out where her mother is and reunite with her mother, because she feels that if she can just find her mother and talk to her, that everything will be magically all right again. She'll be happy again, and everything will just go back to the way it was, and she'll live a happy, normal life. I thought this book did a great job of dealing with abandonment and loss, but also self-reliance and self-discovery or identity. There was also queer rep in this book, which I appreciated. I felt like it was missing a few chapters. I just felt like it needed to be fleshed out more in terms of her relationships to various characters in order for the book to feel more complete to me. But I wouldn't hesitate to recommend it. I gave it 3 stars. Oh, and I forgot to mention that I listened to this on audio and I really like the narrator, so I will go and find the narrator's name and put that in the description as well. So I also read 2 nonfictions. Sorry if the angle is a little bit different. I'm in a storage space, so I had to go deal with that. So we're back. So I just wanted to also tell you about the 2 nonfictions that I read in September. The first I want to talk about is As You Wish, Inconceivable Tales from the Making of the Princess Bride by Cary Elwes. So this is a memoir of sorts of Cary's time on the set of The Princess Bride. And it's about his time making that movie. He covers like the pre-production and what it took to get the movie made because no one wanted to touch this movie. Its transformation from kind of a movie that no one was really noticing to its long life as a cult classic now, and just like anecdotes from his time on the set. There's also tidbits from other people involved in the movie, so director Rob Reiner, other actors, the producer, and I listened to this on audio, and he was able to get some of those people actually narrating their own little anecdotes, which was kind of fun. But I know the physical copy also has kind of like behind the scenes pictures and stuff, so they both have something to offer, I guess. But I very much enjoyed the audiobook because Cary Elwes has a really nice voice, so that was fun. This will really only appeal to fans of the movie. Like, if you're not a fan of The Princess Bride, like, there's no reason for you to read this book. I am a huge fan. I really enjoyed it. And there are lots of fans of the books, or of the movie, so I'm sure there were a lot of people who would enjoy reading this book. If you watch the movie and you love the movie, I recommend it. I basically finished this book and immediately wanted to go and watch The Princess Bride, so my husband and I have set aside a movie night to do that. So yeah, I think I gave this 4 stars, if I didn't mention that already, and it just gave me the warm fuzzies. It was a really nice read. The other nonfiction I want to talk about is Gathering Moss by Robin Wall Kimmerer. This is a collection of essays about mosses and about the author's personal stories about mosses, like loving moss, studying moss. The author is an Indigenous woman and a botanist, particularly a bryologist. She focuses primarily on studying moss. So she kind of has a unique perspective in that case. I thought that, and this is the case with a lot of collections like this, I thought that some essays were definitely stronger than others. There were a couple that I think will stay with me for a little while, but on the whole, I feel like I've already forgotten a lot of these. It was very enjoyable to listen to, but I'm someone who enjoys nature writing, so it just kind of checked that box for me. So while I enjoyed listening to it, I don't know if I mentioned that I listened to this on audio, narrated by the author, and she also has a very soothing voice, so that's nice. But on the whole, I feel like most of these won't stick with me, and I've forgotten a lot of them already, and I didn't finish the book that long ago. I think overall it was a nice, cozy, lovely little read, but I think it suffered mostly in comparison to her other nonfiction, Braiding Sweetgrass, which I read earlier this year in the spring, and I have gushed about. I will link somewhere where I talk about that book. But I thought Braiding Sweetgrass had a more cohesive thread throughout the different chapters. That kind of almost an essay collection as well, but I felt there was a stronger thread, whereas in this one the only thread was basically that every anecdote or story or whatever essay was about moss, but other than that I felt it a little bit more disjointed than Braiding Sweetgrass was. I feel like Gathering Moss is probably better than I think it is, but I think I kept comparing it to Braiding Sweetgrass, and because I love that book so much, I don't think anything else that Robin Wall Kimmerer could do will ever hold a candle to that book. If you, like me, enjoy nature writing, I would recommend it. Like I said, I did enjoy the experience of listening to it. I just don't think it will stick with me, whereas I'm still thinking about Braiding Sweetgrass and some of the things that she talked about in that book. And if you're only going to read one Robin Wall Kimmerer book, make it Braiding Sweetgrass. But yeah, I liked it. I gave it, I think, 3 stars. So it was nice nature writing, but it didn't have the impact on me that Braiding Sweetgrass did. So those are the books that I read in September. If you have read any of them or want to read any of them, please leave a comment. I'd love to chat about any of these books with you. And I hope everyone's doing well, and we'll chat soon. Take care.